I remember the months leading up to my wedding with a strange mix of excitement and unease. It wasn't just the usual jitters about planning, the endless checklists, the flowers, the seating arrangements. There was something else, a quiet tension that had been building for years, a subtle acknowledgement that my family had never treated my life choices with the same gravity as my sister's. My parents had always favored her subtle things really. Little gestures that seemed insignificant at first, extra attention to her plans, offhand compliments, casual dismissals of mine. A perfectly timed nod when she asked for something I might have wanted, a sigh or an absent, "We'll see," when it came to me. At first, I tried to ignore it. I told myself it didn't matter, that I was imagining it, that family dynamics were rarely fair. I smiled, nodded, helped her with endless plans, pretended everything was ordinary. But deep down, I kept a quiet ledger, filing away every slight, every overlooked request, every invisible boundary I'd crossed simply by existing on the same calendar as her. And over time, the ledger grew heavy. Then, almost by accident, I learned that my sister had booked her wedding on the exact same day as mine. The news didn't come with a confrontation. No, it came in a casual mention, the kind that carries an undercurrent of certainty, as if she believed the day was hers by right. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't confront anyone. I watched, I calculated. My first instinct wasn't anger, it was precision. I needed clarity, a plan that would preserve my day without turning it into a confrontation. The months ahead became an exercise in observation, quiet planning, and subtle maneuvering. Weeks passed. I found myself flipping through the memory of our family's patterns, noticing every instance of favoritism, the way they celebrated her achievements while barely acknowledging mine, the way my mother's eyes softened for her and hardened for me, the way my father would laugh at her jokes and politely nod at mine. It wasn't cruel, it wasn't even intentional. It was habitual, embedded in the rhythms of our family life, and it stung, but I did not let it control me. I moved quietly, deliberately reserving a nearby venue, one that could accommodate all the same guests, at the exact time I needed, while remaining almost invisible to the others. I ensured that nothing about my day would be diminished, even if everyone else assumed they had the upper hand. The week of the wedding, the tension became almost tangible. Every conversation with my parents carried a subtle undercurrent: assumptions, instructions, casual dismissals. My sister spoke openly about her excitement, never acknowledging the collision of our dates, and still I remained calm. I finalized arrangements with meticulous care, confirming flowers, music, seating, timing. Each element was exactly as I envisioned. A quiet rebellion executed without fanfare, without confrontation, without anyone realizing the meticulous strategy behind it. The day arrived with sunlight filtering through lace curtains, the faint hum of music in the air, and the comforting smell of fresh flowers. I moved through the preparations with calm precision, noting every detail with quiet satisfaction. Guests arrived, smiling, chatting, unaware of the invisible drama unfolding around them. And then they came, my sister and my parents, walking confidently toward what they believed was my venue. I watched from a distance as confusion crossed their faces. A pause, a pale moment of realization. They had assumed dominance over the day, authority unquestioned, but now the balance had shifted. My sister's confident stride faltered. My parents' smiles wavered. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud, it was subtle, human, and undeniable. I felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that foresight and composure had preserved my day. No confrontation was necessary. The authority they had assumed over the situation now quietly faltered, visible in the slightest hesitations, the small, unspoken admissions of error. Even in that moment of quiet victory, I felt a twinge of sadness. The resentment toward my family hadn't disappeared. It had transformed into something more controlled, more strategic. It became an understanding of my own resilience, a quiet recognition that dignity and self-determination could be preserved without drama. I felt relief, yes, but also grief for the favoritism, for the inequality, for the unspoken patterns that had defined our family for years. The ceremony itself was a meditative experience. I walked down the aisle, steady and composed, feeling the sunlight on my face and the gentle hum of life moving around me. Every smile, every nod from the guests, every whispered compliment reinforced the quiet triumph I had achieved. Not through anger, not through confrontation, but through foresight, planning, and unshakable calm. The day belonged to me, and no one else could claim it. Afterward, during photographs and brief conversations, the dynamics remained subtly altered. My sister tried to maintain her usual poise, but I could see it in the slight stiffness of her posture, the careful way she avoided overlapping with me. My parents, aware of the miscalculation, offered polite acknowledgments, but the shift in authority lingered. It was quiet, unspoken, yet unmistakable. My foresight had created a balance, a recalibration that didn't require punishment, humiliation, or dramatics, only subtle, strategic execution. By the time the evening ended, I felt a deep, reflective calm. The tension, the resentment, the quiet planning, it had all led to a moment of personal mastery. My sister and parents returned their routines, likely aware on some level of the shift, but powerless to reverse it. I had preserved what mattered most: my dignity, my autonomy, and the integrity of my wedding day. Even now, months later, I recall that day with a sense of quiet pride. It wasn't a story of revenge or dramatic triumph. It was a story of observation, patience, and strategic calm. I had learned that power doesn't always announce itself through confrontation. Sometimes it whispers through preparation, through foresight, through understanding the rhythms of human behavior and acting just slightly ahead of expectation. The emotional cost was subtle but present, a lingering awareness of favoritism, an understanding of the invisible hierarchies that shape my family. Yet the reward, the preservation of my own narrative, the quiet assertion of self-respect, was enduring. My sister may have believed she could control the calendar, the attention, the narrative. My parents may have assumed their authority was absolute. But in the quiet moments of my wedding day, I realized that resilience, strategy, and calm determination could achieve what drama never could: a balance restored, a dignity preserved, and a victory both silent and undeniable. Walking through that day, feeling the warmth of sunlight, the hum of conversation, the delicate fragrance of flowers, I understood something fundamental. Life, like family, often favors the loud, the assumed, the entitled. But it also rewards the observant, the patient, the quietly strategic. And in that moment, I knew that no amount of favoritism could ever diminish the quiet, undeniable strength I carried within me.